All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome to the virtual concerts panel. I would love for my guests to just take a second and introduce themselves, tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do, and then we'll jump right into it. Guru, you want to start?
I appreciate everyone for being in here. My name is Young. I'm many things. Engineer, I DJ as well for Jay-Z, Alicia Keys, a producer, Grammy Award winner. The list goes on and on, but it's not really about me, so I guess I'll keep it short.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, and Tim.
Hey, good to meet you all. I'm Tim Durant. I produce and design live events, usually music tours and concerts and a few other things besides. And I've just starting to do that in virtual space.
Hi guys, my name is Paul. I used to be a musician a long time ago, and then I got into virtual development, and I run a volumetric capturing stage now in Culver City.
I'll just jump in right before the event.
Hey, I'm Ollie Rankin. My background is in the visual effects industry for 20 years. And for the last 3 or 4 years, I've been doing a lot of virtual reality events in Sansar and in proprietary platforms. And I have also written and directed interactive VR films.
Nice.
Awesome. So yeah, hey guys, Adrian Driscoll. I'll be your moderator. If you have any questions, go ahead and pass them along to one of our other moderators, and they'll pass them along to me. I see a couple familiar faces over there, so hopefully they'll help me if I get off track too much. But yeah, let's we're talking about virtual concerts. We're really trying to reconnect people. Obviously, 2020 has been a year of disconnection. So let's talk more about how do we bridge this gap? Half of us are in headsets or on a desktop device, but how do we really bridge this gap between going and having a crazy concert experience with your friends compared to something that would ultimately be a solidarity experience unless we made it otherwise? And the floor is open, whoever wants to jump in.
Well, to me it's go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I think for me, coming in new to this, it seems like baby steps. Certainly the first and only step I've taken so far was with Tomorrowland, and that wasn't VR, it wasn't immersive, it wasn't interactive. It was a concert film, but we did start using some kind of unusual, at least in terms of festivals, kind of technology to get there. But it really was just dipping a toe into this stuff for us. But, so for me, I don't know what the vision is going forward for some great leap forward, but it's exciting just to be dipping a toe into it for me.
Absolutely. Guru?
Well, for me, I look at it from a couple of standpoints. One, from the user base, from someone who's a concert goer and enjoys watching music being played live or being in that experience, and also someone who takes the other angle and is actually on stage, what that means to my community from a live standpoint, or just from artists being able to create an experience for the people who enjoy their music. So, I look at this as a way of people interacting, but not only just interacting, the design of it, having special rooms where friends can be together the way you would be, when you're crowded into, 20 or 70,000 people in a stadium. Having those tools, I think creates a great opportunity for all of us that are interested in this space. So for me, I'm trying to fill up holes that obviously 2020, just dug for everyone. I think as everyone in here is, and I just really see this as something that can fill that hole.
Awesome. Totally agree.
So yeah, I mean, for the last 3 years, I've been working with VR Jam, and we started out building a platform so that people in VR could attend events that were happening in the real world. So we did a show at the Ministry of Sound nightclub in London a couple of years ago, where we had a DJ that was playing to a live audience at the Ministry of Sound and was wearing a motion capture suit, and both the music and the DJ's movements were being streamed live in real time into VR headsets. So when 2020 came along, we were pretty well positioned to sort of, address the need for virtual live events. And we did that by partnering up first with the team behind the Shangri-La area of Glastonbury Music Festival in the UK. And in July, we launched Lost Horizon Festival, which was a 2-day, 4-stage festival that ran 12 hours a day, and we had headliners like Pete Tong and Carl Cox and Seth Troxler and Fatboy Slim, and what was really interesting was that we hosted it on a Sanzar platform, which you can visit in VR, and that obviously gives you that most immersive experience, that feeling of being actually present in this sort of crazy festival environment, bumping into random people, having conversations that might change your life. But then there were also people that were tuning in via PC desktop, and those people, they don't have the same kind of level of immersion, but they are able to customize their avatar and choose the dance moves that their avatar is doing. And so you can have this sensation that you are dancing with your friends on the same dance floor from around the world, even though only a couple of us were in VR. And then there's also a smartphone app, and there's now also a web interface. So we're trying to make it as accessible as possible to give that sort of feeling of presence and being together again, partying.
Well, just for me, as an engineer, someone who designs music, and we're looking at design, of course we want to go all the way to the end and see what our wildest dream is. It's the same way that we in Star Trek as children, and then we come up with those things. So of course I want the whole experience to look like maybe Ghost of Tsushima or something like that while I'm experiencing this, where all the way where the weather is changing and where the lighting is changing depending on where you're standing. We have to understand that there are limitations, but to be at a ground level and to be able to get the experience and to get users who are going to give you feedback on that experience, I think is priceless. So then, it creates so many other opportunities in terms of programming and in terms of, I guess, the people that are in this room taking advantage of the fact that this is happening. We get, again, I look at it as holes. We get to see those holes and fill them. So, the limitations are there, but I think that we have, lived through a time and see a testament to the fact that it's going to get better, to where those limitations won't hold you back from what that experience is, especially in a VR experience.
Totally agree. And we got to give it up. The Quest 2 has made some crazy, even the Quest 1, they've made some crazy strides in this community for all of us. We got to give it up to Oculus for doing it. I think one of you, either Tim or Paul, one of you guys had another statement.
Well, I was going to say...
Go ahead.
I was going to say that one of the biggest hurdles that we have to overcome, and it's one of the trade-offs that we look at every time you're doing a social VR platform, is how many people you can fit in concurrently at the same time and, still have the thing be performant. In most of these platforms, we're now seeing between sort of 30 and 50 people being the limit that you can have. And sure, that's great if you just want to hang out with a group of people that you already know, but if you want to have that truly sort of large-scale music experience where you're surrounded by hundreds and hundreds of strangers, that's very difficult currently to recreate in VR.
Absolutely.
One thing we found very interesting upon our investigations on delivering a revisualization of music, as we call it. I've been working for about 3 years with Organized Noise from Atlanta, who brought us Outkast, TLC, number of other acts, on how music translates into this new world. And one thing we found, amongst the many limitations, we're using volumetric filming to bring real three-dimensional people and performances into the virtual world, but package delivery size alone makes that very difficult for a extended performance, one more than 5 minutes, 10 minutes. We're talking an hour. We have some captures that are over 90 minutes. How do you deliver that to somebody? And pertaining to your comment, as far as, packing a lot of people in the room, one thing we found is we're never in our life going to replace a live concert. A live concert is about energy. It's about being in a scene with people. But that's one thing we can do, is enhance the connection between the performer and the audience in a way that's never been seen before. That's really what a concert's about. It's that communication between the performer and the people who are there to watch and witness. And that we can focus on and build a better bridge between the audience and the performer in ways we've never seen before. Limitations are in every new device, but experimenting with those limitations opens the doors to boundaries that we didn't know existed that we could break.
Absolutely. And I
think,
look at, oh, sorry, please.
No, I was going to say that I think creating that community, that communication, that experience between the artist and the audience is what we've all been seeking to achieve, to enhance through production design, throughout the entire fan experience back in the real world. And
it's been the key between tech and artistry right now. It's the communicator.
Absolutely. And what I think in some ways has gotten a little tired back in the physical world of touring and event production is that it's become a little bit of an arms race in production design with tools that have been around forever, whether it's projection or LED. Every client I have says, well, can we just have more LED? More LED and a tighter pitch. Just give me a great big television would be really all they would want. And that technology kind of has plateaued, I feel. And so it's this kind of thing that I think is very exciting to create that communication, that experience, and that community.
Virtual performance is used very loosely right now. Very loosely.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, I just wanted to interject for a second because the point that's being made can't be lost. Number one, I do feel as though, we've tried for many years. I was on a U2 tour where it was a circle, just trying to think of all these different ideas to make the live experience different. And I think we should not miss a lesson that was in the engineering world by plugins, where we were trying to compare if a plugin made in a computer, is the same thing as the hardware, where I think people miss the lesson that there's so many different things that you can do inside it. They shouldn't be compared. So I think I'm reiterating the same point that was made, that number one, we're never going to replace the live experience, but I think we shouldn't try to. I think we should look at the avenues that we have inside of this VR space that can do things that we could never do in a live experience. And I think that part of it shouldn't be missed.
Absolutely.
And from an audio perspective, just to be clear, there's a holy grail of us now being able to remotely have different musicians in different places and be able to feed that audio through this experience at the same time. I know we're trapped by the speed of light, and there are some things that can be done to, sort of, I don't want to say usurp that, but get around that enough that we only have a certain amount of latency. And of course, that's the devil word, latency, when it comes to my world of audio. But I think those times and those ideas are coming. So it's just necessary for me to say that, to put people's minds into a state that they should be solving, or where the energy needs to be placed. Because once we do that, then we're in a position to where we can give an experience that is truly virtual.
Absolutely. And a few of you guys actually said the same. You know, you can't replace the experience. It's impossible. You know, but think about it as it's an extension. You know, Samsung's model was do what you can't. You know, and that's, now we can not just say, hey, look, you can come and be in a group or a concert, but now you can be in a private VIP room that would have cost you, you know, $40,000, you know, to be able to have this red carpet experience, and you could do it from the comfort of your home, you know, without having to worry about wearing a mask or any of the new limitations that we have from 2020. So I couldn't agree more. Ladies and gentlemen, we have DJ Celeste. She just joined us right now.
Hey, really sorry to be late. So technical challenges here. I've been having audio dropouts all day, and I think I have it stabilized right now. So thanks for your patience. I'm really thrilled to be here and interjecting in the conversation. On the topic of latency, I've heard that there's a couple companies that are working on that particular problem so that musicians could actually perform remotely and have their music synced. And this is going to be some technology I think we're going to be seeing rolled out within the next couple years, is a latency optimization. And that's also, I think, sound quality, I believe, is going to get better. Also, when 5G gets rolled out more, we're going to see better sonic clarity and depth in the sound in here, which is very exciting.
Absolutely. Let's proceed. So what have you guys seen that really worked? I mean, Lost Horizon was awesome. It was just a very heavy experience. But you know, it was a lot of fun. So I mean, I'm just trying to see how we can further bridge the gap. I mean, what would you guys really like to see as far as, I mean, as far as a new quote unquote normal in this interim period until we get back to you know, rocking with the concerts?
A couple of the speakers have already hit upon it, you know, doing things in VR that you can't do in the real world. Why do we still have stages and DJ booths and speakers and stuff in our VR experiences? Why aren't we all flying around in space? You know, there's all kinds of
create a new normal.
Exactly. We'll get to the point where people don't want to go back to live concerts again because the experience they get in VR is so transcendental.
Well, you know, one thing my son told me about the Roblox concert with Lil Nas. Okay, one thing that I was really excited to watch is Lil Nas is his favorite artist. Roblox is his favorite game. Okay, so I was really interested to see his response to this kind of, it was to him his first concert, even though he's gone to many, he just doesn't remember. But this was his first concert, he felt. And I asked him, I said, what did you think about it? You know, how was it? And he said, to be honest with you, it was laggy and boring. I said, well, I understand the laggy part. What was boring about it? And he said, tough crowd. Yeah. He said, you just kind of stand around and hit spacebar, you know? And I thought about that. And I said, well, you know, you're right. I mean, there's not much to do in these virtual concerts right now other than walk around. And that's what I meant by this bridge between the artist and the explorer, as we call them right now, is we need to develop and explore new ways to, I hate to use the word gamify the concert experience, but in reality, that's what it boils down to. These people, users need an objective to keep stimulating themselves, because you need to further detach from the fact that you are planted on your couch or you're standing static. Right? So if you're just in a concert like this and I'm just standing here, I mean, it's cool and it's great and all, and there's a lot of visual stimulation, and if you've taken any mushrooms, it's greatly enhanced. But the fact is, if, you know, outside of that, you're still standing there. And it's
Right.
wonderful visualization that's very immersive, and that's cool and all, but as my son mentioned, it can be very boring. So to expect individual to pay further into that process and to buy the next concert ticket when they expect the same thing, to stand around and see some visualization, we're not going to see a growth in the industry. When we start to build the bridge, the communication between the musician, the game developer, and the audience, and the artistry of the communication between the two, then we're going to see a massive revolution in what we call the revisualization of music.
And that's it. It's the artistry. Like,
Yes.
half of the things 90% of things in VR don't belong in VR. None of us want to admit it,
Yes.
but it's the truth. 90% of it does not belong in VR.
That's what makes
And
it fun.
it's so, we see the same things over and over again, but as Guru will attest to, like, how long do you guys rehearse for a concert? And it's small things. It's the, you want to make sure the sound's good, of course, but you want the visualizations. Look at Jay-Z and Kanye. The visualizations in their videos, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, it's so over the top that you're hooked, and it's just another level of stimuli. But it's
But I
our
think
job
the
to keep
great-
pushing that.
I
That's a great
produce
point, though.
concerts in Wave, and one of the great things about this particular platform is the interactive games that are offered to the users to come in, and while they're enjoying music, I see Illuminati is over here, and she is also an amazing world builder and DJ in Wave, a resident DJ there. So I think that's something I would love for the developers to start using more when possible, is the games that connect people, bring them together and make them feel comfortable around each other. And also ways to connect with the band while they're working that are easy and fun. Like the emojis is a good example here. But yeah, the more interactive, creative games to build community, help people feel connected, and maybe even connect to social media and share their experiences through social media quickly and easily from within the game.
Mhm.
One of the things that we really care about at Lost Horizon is having a positive social impact as well. So not only are we always trying to make sure that our lineup of artists is, very diverse and that our spaces are inclusive, but all of the artwork around the world is, encouraging people to care about one another. Our motto, which is emblazoned all over the place, is "Don't be a dick."
Right.
But
Thank you.
But
Well
for one
said.
but for one of our upcoming events in a couple of months' time, we're going to have a game in the world where people are encouraged to pick up and recycle plastic bottles and stuff that they find
Awesome.
scattered around the
Great.
world. So it's just trying to give people make sure that the gamification also has a positive social impact.
Awesome. Love hearing that.
Love it.
We all need to take an understanding that we're participating in the future of programming, right? And what we've learned from what others have studied, and we learn from their studies, is that empathy is something that can absolutely be invoked into the human brain through virtual environments. That's fact, right? And Lord knows what else is happening to the human psyche due to these alignments of new worlds, parallel, universes that we will become more acquainted with. The impact on our brain can be very profound. And when you really look at these systems, virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality in general, it's a learning system in every way. So we need to make sure that, as you stated, we need to make sure continuously that we take a moral background and concentrate on what we are teaching people, because it is teaching them. What are you teaching them is the only question.
I think people increasingly want to feel like they're part of solving a problem because we all feel the urgency of the problems on this planet. Something I've been an advocate of and really a firm believer more and more as I work in virtual reality is that what we are doing is actually going to reduce the collective carbon footprint.
Absolutely.
I think that because less people are going to be traveling for things like this, for conferences, less people are going to be traveling for concerts that'll affect the concert industry. It could potentially be a big part of solving some huge world problems that we have.
No, I think that's absolutely right. I can't speak to the audience side of it, but certainly, we all know that in production, a big show, we've got, 20 trucks going overnight from city to city, the occasional flight or the buses. But yeah, what's that? That's, 20 plus vehicles going all over the country every day. Plus, we all know, it's sad truth, but everything we build at each of these venues, half of it just gets tossed out at the end of the day.
Right.
A lot of scenic design and expendables and stuff like that. And it just piles and piles up. So I think certainly what's exciting about this kind of space is the carbon footprint that's involved in the production side of it, in building all of this. We're not going to toss all this into a landfill when it's done, and we didn't take planes or trucks to get here. So that's super exciting from what is becoming a much more responsible corner of the industry.
There's the monetization part too. The cost of all that is astronomical. The price point to profit when you enter a digital world is massive. Massive. But then the point of entry is more difficult. That's one thing we've been maintaining extreme focus on, is the point of entry. Little artists have been able to experiment with this kind of outreach, and that's due to the cost, the overhead of getting someone like them and then perform and build all this stuff and make things explode and make it accessible to everyone and all these things. This is why it takes months before we see another injection into Fortnite and Roblox and things like that, which is why we maintained focus on purchase of a volumetric capturing system, directly taking an artist and their performance and immediately deploying it into any virtual environment is imperative when you talk about a point of entry. Otherwise, it's going to be one or two of these a year. Maybe one will get better, but that's not going to provide growth for this whatsoever. It's too, as you may note, it's too difficult to do this weekly, until we find an easier way to produce these experiences, more cost-effective way, and a better point of entry. So there's an actual flood of artists coming to this, other than just people who can afford it because their labels pay.
Well, hopefully at some point there'll be a proliferation of music venues that I guess we can just hire, put up, and
I think that's
do it
what
that
it will
way
be.
Without having to.
Virtual environments will be a tour stop. It'll be routed in your, instead of picking which regions you're focusing on, focus on America or Asia this year, and then I'm going to hit via this stage.
And I think,
I think it will become part.
And I think at first, building those venues, I would imagine, kind of, Ollie, going back to your point of replicating in virtual space what we're accustomed to in the physical space. I think maybe those venues at first will be a virtual El Rey, a virtual Hollywood Bowl, which is very recognizable. It's got a brand. One would hope that the venues, once we get out of this, situation, might have some cash to throw at, hiring guys to build their virtual equivalent. And then, of course, on stage, it's going to be LED, projection, lighting, all of that kind of stuff, Ollie, that you mentioned. I think every industry kind of adopts and then adapt the technology that was in the industry that to an extent it's replaced. Like, you know, the original growth of film, early, super early films obviously just basically look like filmed theater. It's all done on a set with scenic flats and things like that, very flat, obviously no moving camera. So it just felt like filmed theater. And I would imagine the next step we'll see on this is just simply replicating venues. Maybe once people are accustomed to that and there's some finance there, then we can start building, you know, butterflies on the moon or whatever we want to build.
There's this sort of siloification in Altspace, and you have events that are happening in Sansa, and you have events that are happening in Roblox and Fortnite, and you have all of these audiences that it's not just that they need a venue to go to, but they, in order for them to be able to go to an event, they might have to download a new piece of software, create a new account, create a new avatar, rebuild their entire social network again on that new platform.
Continuity would be great.
So one of the things that we're working with at VR Jam is actually to build a system that allows the same event to be simulcast on all of the different platforms at the same time. So if you're a Roblox user, you don't need to create a Sansa account to be able to go to Lost Horizon. You'd be able to go to the Roblox version of Lost Horizon.
Amazing.
And these things would all be happening in parallel at the same time.
Awesome. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
We've been seeing that a bit here on Altspace. Also, Illuminati is another member. They broadcast dual concerts into Sansar and Altspace the same times. It's via video, of course, and her avatar is only in one.
I love it. So, I mean, Guru, as someone who's worked with more artists than any of us, how do you get artists interested in this? I mean, I think everyone wants to know. The gates open. You know, you get the right 10 people, and it's like, okay, well, they're doing this now. You know, let's move on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have to stop looking at the low-hanging fruit, because I see promoted the most. You can put something in here to sell your tour merch, and it's just like we're still thinking in a physical world. I think we need to show how cool the experiences are of what can be done and done in a way that is just the way that we've existed as a society. We've always moved from, you know, one age to another age, but I think we're still not really taking advantage of our information age. So, you know, for the artists, I think it's something where they can still express themselves, because every artist wants to be an artist. They want to get their, you know, whatever that art is, whether that's music, whether that's, you know, physical dance, whether that's, you know, whatever self-expression. I think they still want to be able to showcase their art. But I also understand the marketing side, that is you have to really understand how much more can be done with this space versus a physical space where we were paying $1 million for a 30-second commercial, or we spend money to, you know, to have a billboard in a physical space in one city. So, you know, those things that we can now, but we have to be able to showcase that to the artists. And there's so much. Imagine me doing the Jay-Z and Beyonce tour inside of this virtual space. You know, and what that could draw.
Wow.
Absolutely.
You know, I think a lot of the problem too is the fact that basically to look to the tech world to solve its problems when it is the creator of them. There's never been one tech company to come out and say, guys, I got the solution, and they didn't get robbed.
And you're absolutely right. And what I'm saying is that the music industry, for once, should learn from its mistakes. You know, if we learn anything from the from the Napster mistake, it was like, okay, why were you guys trying to fight this? Let's see where the you know, where the change came, and instead of fighting this, let's analyze what's going on. So I'm saying, let's get it correct this time, and say that we can, you know, develop in it, because, you know, there's still, that's where the money, or in these new conglomerates that are actually buying up everybody's publishing, you know, it could be in those conglomerates, you know. So if you look at it as something that is the new way in which we can interact with fans, but show that it's opening up markets that would never be open to us before.
Mhm.
I think that's how you draw people in, from the creativity side, and also from the fact that you can make way more money if you stop thinking about trying to sell this piece of plastic.
Right.
Yeah, I think artists. Guru, I'm sure you know more, a lot more about this than I do. But helping artists not only be artists, but to build that community, whether it's that they're accustomed to achieving, online, but also through touring, and help them. If we can provide them with an opportunity to maintain and even grow that audience, that communication, that community through virtual spaces. I mean, that to me sounds great.
I just want to say, on top of what you're saying, what's really important is for us to understand that it's on every level, not just from, all the way from the top down. From, yes, I mentioned Jay-Z and Beyonce, but also all the way down to the local band in Sandusky, Idaho.
Yep.
That only makes this much per month, but that's how they sustain their life, and they've adjusted their life and their income to that specific thing. So I think these tools should not only be for superstars, but all the way down to local bands, to cover bands, to whatever band we're talking, to local DJs, to whatever it is. You're going to sell a lot more to those customers than to the maybe 30 or 50 of these superstars that there are, where you'll get the one mega deal.
Right.
I think that part of it should be exemplified as well.
I think that's great. Some kind of democratized an open box to smaller artists. The four guys traveling around the state, as well as the Jay-Z's and Beyoncé's of the world. Yeah, I mean, to make those tools available somehow is super compelling. Because right now, those guys aren't making any money, and where are the artists going to be coming from in the future?
That's the greater problem.
If they can't get past that first hurdle of making it, paying the bills.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's been a pretty hot topic. A hot topic is a tipping versus payment for events that are going on in VR, and how that can work and how it should work. So the tipping model is questionable, in my opinion.
Look, people will pay for anything you give them value. If you give them something valuable, they'll pay for it. Bottom line, I don't think enough of us have provided the value for an experience. If you give me something that I could watch on YouTube, then I'm just gonna watch it on YouTube. But if I give you something that's like, oh man, and you talk about it for 3 days later, it's like, oh, I gave you value. Then later, it's something that you actually will want to pay for. And that, I think, if you build it, they will come.
On Tomorrowland, we were a pretty resolutely old school solution this year. So that was the old school side. The newish school side was that the guys built 4 enormous stages, incredibly detailed. There was whales floating around inside an aquarium behind the DJs and stuff like that. It was absolutely nuts. It was a venue, kind of, again, Ollie's point, it was a venue that you could never build in real life. I mean, the cost would be astronomical, but building it in this, it was achievable. And I don't know how many people went to it, but I believe it was in the high hundreds of thousands, all paying tickets, all to watch it, and then going back to old school, watching it on TV, watching it through, through the web, and it was a 2D experience. But I think it's a small leap from that to being able to control the cameras. I think we had 32 cameras, most of them virtual. I think the idea of being able to float around using that camera, we won't have bodies, but it's a pretty simple step to just everybody being able to operate their own camera, like you're on a little jetpack.
Right.
And I think that's starting to offer people a premium experience that they're not going to get by going to a physical space. And if you're gonna make, go ahead.
Yeah, let me ask this question. Do you feel as though, as creators, that someone would like to do their own experience, or versus someone watching a director? There's a thing about watching the edit of a movie and the way that someone edited that movie that makes it classic as well as what's being filmed. So is there still perspective who is a director who looks at it visually and says this is where I want you to go, and feeling as though the user would like that versus the randomization of the user just being able to float anywhere?
And if I was the guy selling the tickets to something, this off the top of my head, I'd say maybe there's 3 tiers. There's the director's feed where you just kind of you can just sit back and be passive. You can still look around in the space, but you're kind of signing over your experience of that space to an experienced director. Maybe tier 2 is you get to control what you see, but you're kind of in a seat. You don't get to move around. And maybe the VIP package is, you put you strap on your jetpack and your camera and you go wherever you want and you just experience it live, no cuts, no multiple cameras. You just go wherever you want. Right. So maybe that's providing different packages, and that's, extended revenue. So yes, I completely agree.
Yeah. Great answer. Yes.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. This is awesome. It's been great for me.
I don't think video quality is going to get better once 5G rolls out.
Yeah, I think the point that you're making is, yes, we're going to have better connections, but at the end of the day, I think you just have to reiterate the point that was just made, where it's you don't know what the end user is using and what those combination of things are. Mm-hmm. We're not even talking about internet speed. We're not even talking about just the different forms of computers that are out there until there's some standard, which I doubt that there will be. You have to take into account how many different places you have to program this for and what the end user is going to have. So you're going to either take one route as a company and say, okay, we're going to give you the highest quality, but we understand that that's going to slow down in a lot of places, or you can take, sort of the Sirius XM model where it's like, we'll give you the lowest quality, but we know that when you drive into a parking lot to park your car, you're still going to have this radio. So you have to look at it from both ways.
Beautiful. I'm going to take another question. I believe it's Fokis. I might be saying that incorrectly. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you.
Hey, what's up, guys? Yep. Yeah, that's Focus, by the way. But
Focus, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is a great panel, by the way. But just to kind of Tim's point and Adrian, actually, Adrian, you were saying, like, what is it going to take to kind of get this thing going and get artists? I'm new to VR. I mean, I've been doing this for like 6 weeks now, and I had no prior experience. I was touring Europe and got stranded, and everything finished. My friend introduced me to this, and since then I just jumped in the fire. I mean, I did like 2 shows already. Both were like packed out. People couldn't get in. Then I started figuring out other methods, like, man, how can I monetize? So then I did like a whole different, like, hey, let me add a guest list feature. So there's kinks in this, things to work out. So as far as like Adrian, man, I always felt like I was late to the party for everything. YouTube, Twitter, IG, everything. And it's like, finally, I'm early to something. And I did all my years of working and grinding and the old school way. It's like, now I'm watching it just happen, So it's like, it's incredible. So I think if each platform can take from the other, so once Altspace can interject a commissary kind of a thing where there's some commerce in here, like pay $20 and you get some coins. I want to get paid for what I do because I have value. I have some really good product. If I just continue giving away for free, the value goes down. So it's just all of us kind of working together, figuring things out. We're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna have trolls. But it's part of it. but when it's all said and done, we're gonna be on top. The ones that are doing it now. So keep up the amazing work you guys are doing, because my life has forever changed since I got into VR. I haven't getting no sleep. That's what it is.
Thank you.
Welcome. You'll love coffee.
Thank you very much. And I think that kind of plays on what Guru was saying. as, we need to extend this to all the artists, not just the A-listers or the mega artists, to everybody, because there's a place for everybody here. And there's never been a times in our life that we could really be pioneers for a new medium, so it's very, very rare. So is there any last comment by our panelists?
I think we have
All
to
right then.
focus on accessibility for the general population, the people that want to explore it, both in 2D mode, and if people, I think a lot more people are going to start getting goggles as this catches on. And so just focusing on keeping it very inclusive, focusing on making sure that the platforms have ways to keep a human aspect in it. I think that's very important. I've noticed that a lot of the shows that I do, the ones that get the best responses is when I have a video of myself in my bedroom dancing around. And that's the human level. And so like keeping that intact and coming up with new methods to remind people to stay human, and also to take care of their physical bodies while we're in digital form. Drink water. Don't just zip off when someone's talking to you. We have a personal responsibility to each other here. So things like that make it more warm, welcoming, and less alien. I have a lot of friends that are very deterred from the virtual experience because they have, some stigma against it.
Yeah, very true. Anything else? Final thoughts?
I mean, for me, coming at this from the kind of old school kind of tech, old school touring side of the business rather than the tech side. I mean, I know nothing about VR technology, but for me, I'm very excited to work with existing clients to just slowly kind of inch by inch bring them into spaces like this. They're rich or not so rich. It's like, I mean, half joking, but finding artists who got little kids that don't want to go traveling on a couple of them.
That's all of them.
And then none of them want to go back out anymore.
Your list just got massive.
Yeah. Building. Right. Yeah, I'm getting too old to go out there too. It's
I was on the tour my whole life until I had kids.
Right. And then as well as finding, it's like, I think it's mapped to the right venues. Again, if we can encourage venues, since that seems like low-hanging fruit, to build some of those as well as places like this.
I think another thing that's worth mentioning, this is still very young, and it's pretty amazing that we're able to pull off as
miraculous.
as much as we are right now, this early in coming back. You're not going to have an amazing experience every time, but be open-minded. Know that everybody that's working on all of these concerts that you go to is doing the best that they can with the resources that they have, and they're just going to keep on trying to make it better. And they need your support.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you think about Pro Tools when it first started, 2 tracks to 8 tracks, and how many years that took, it was so fast.
Pre-Digiboard?
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
So can we give a round of applause to our panelists, guys? Like,
may I say one thing?
Receive
Can
some
I
of
say
this
one
knowledge.
thing?
Sure.
Pertaining to that guy down there who discovered he's early into VR and you are an artist, I have a company that put up a volumetric capturing studio in Los Angeles. Our facility, our volumetric capturing facility, is 100% free for artists to use and deploy their performance into virtual worlds.
Wow.
It's amazing.
So just keep that in mind.
So we have a conversation to be had later too then, Paul.
Absolutely.
So everybody, thank you so much. Check out the other panels. We are out of time. I went a minute over, but you guys have a great one, and take care.